Hi, my name is Jasika Nicole. I'm an actor. You might know me from such productions as the sci-fi show Fringe, or Scandal, or Underground, or The Good Doctor, or that breakfast burrito commercial that I did for McDonald's in 2007.
What you making?
Some pottery. In addition to being an actor, that's what I do for my work and my career. That's how I make a living. But my hobby for as long as I can remember has always been making things. It has been a source of self-care for me. It is a therapeutic practice. A lot of the time, it is something that has allowed me to keep my brain engaged and excited about learning new things, particularly when I am in between gigs. And unfortunately, there can be a whole lot of time in between gigs. So I've tried to really take that time and just enjoy it.
What you making?
A sweater. So right now we are in the basement of our house, which I have designated as my craft room. And it's where I do sewing. I have 6 sewing machines down here. It's where I do shoemaking. I store all my fabric down here and my patterns. I have yarn down here for when I, want to do like a textile art project or a knitting project or something. And this whole space, again, it's a modest space. There isn't anything special about it, but what it represents to me has been really important just in my regular life. And it has become even more important now that we're dealing with a pandemic and we are being asked to stay home and quarantine to try and keep everybody as healthy and safe as possible. So I feel really privileged to have this space and to have all these things that I like to do.
What you making?
A romper. Very 90s. In order to kind of keep the stress and the anxiety about what's happening in the world at bay, I have basically just been doing what I've always been doing, which is making stuff.
What you making?
Masks for my family. So one thing that I've noticed about making for me is that it isn't a way for me to escape what's going on or escape, my feelings or my anxieties or my stresses at all. My brain is still engaged and active no matter what I'm doing, but I do think it allows me to kind of gain a bit of perspective on where I am and what I am actually physically capable of doing in the moment. So a lot of the crafting that I do is meditative. Things like knitting and crocheting, watercolor, pottery. There's a lot of repetition of movement within those crafts, and that helps regulate your breathing and it can calm your brain down when it's stressed out. And so I've really been leaning on those things.
What you making?
A wooden spoon. There's so much power in being able to, if you can't change the world that's around you, to change the world that's in front of you. And whether that's with, some pieces of fabric or some yarn or ingredients like flour and sugar and salt and yeast, whatever it is, there's something that feels so satisfying when you're done. And it's really not about the product. It's not about productivity, at least not for me, but it's more about the journey that it takes to get there. You have to commit yourself to, a few hours or sometimes a few days or sometimes a few weeks for a particular project. And it just feels like I'm showing up for myself, and I'm feeding my heart and I'm feeding my brain by learning new things, and I'm taking care of my mental health by practicing stuff that feels good and makes me feel excited and joyful.
What you making?
Pair of shoes. This is going to be the tassel that goes on the top. The biggest thing that I've learned out of this whole experience for myself, and I think for everybody else, is that the best we can do is meet ourselves where we are. That is all the power that we have, that most of us have at this point. And in order to support, all the people that are helping keep us fed and safe in the community, who are putting themselves at risk, all the healthcare professionals who are putting themselves at risk and trying to save lives, my staying at home is the only thing that I can do to help them keep doing their jobs as safely as possible. I'm not an essential worker. I'm an artist. And I think that there's a place for artists in scary, chaotic times like this. And I feel lucky for everybody, in the world who's trying to do their part and keep people safe and keep the world going as best as it can, until we can transition into something that is hopefully better than where we came from.